Hi everyone, this is Kendra, your certified life and relationship coach, a specialty in health science. I am back again today with another video, and today we're just going to be discussing a very important topic, a very serious topic, and I'd just like to address it and make sure that I do touch on this topic. It's about verbal abuse and how it is never okay. You see from the thumbnail, the topic, so I hope that you can enjoy the video and take something away or share it with a friend. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. Hit that notification button so when I post, it'll pop up for you so you can stay connected to me. And if you ever want to book a session with me, you can book me by emailing book@candracurry.com. That is entering that in your email and sending the message to me at emailing me at book@candracurry.com. You can also book me by going to my website, www.candracurry.com. And all of my videos are always for empowerment and inspiration. I'm not a medical doctor. I just am here to give voice, to bring insight to different topics, and just to be able to empower someone and motivate you and encourage you. But if you ever need medical attention, always seek a medical professional. If you're ever in need of help, I will put some links in my description box as always. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started, guys. So again, about verbal abuse today, that's what I'm going to be talking about, and just some ways that you can end that. And basically, I'm going to be reading from an article. You know, I always have my notes to make sure that I am being as accurate as possible. And today, this content is strictly from an article. I'm going to make sure I put that in my description box as well if you'd like to read it and review it. But I just think that is very important in relationships and understanding communication. And I know that there is an ugly side at times in communication with some relationships. And I just wanted to bring light to some ways that people can end this, because I think it's a very important dynamic for relationships to be able to communicate. And where there's verbal abuse, it's going to be really hard to communicate and have a healthy, effective relationship. And you guys know that's what I'm all about, is creating that healthy dynamic. So I found this really good article on psychologytoday.com on the best way to end verbal abuse. And if you don't know what is considered verbal abuse, please just stay tuned in the video, guys. And again, I smile because I want you to know I'm here with you, I'm supporting you, and I am just smiling, but I do mean that it means that I'm still being serious, guys. And I try to, you know, take it easy on you guys. I know these are some heavy hitting topics, but I still have to say it, and I'd rather do it with this smile than a frown. But I want you to be empowered and feel good about this at the end of the day, and know that you can make it through anything that, you know, we talk about. If you ever need a friend or someone to talk to, just call me, email me, whatever you can do to get in touch with me so that you do not feel alone in this, because we are all together, okay? So let's go ahead and discuss what verbal abuse is. Verbal abuse is a way of attacking or negatively defining another person using words or silence, okay? So as a weapon. So that verbal abuse, again, is a way of attacking or negatively defining another person using words or silence. Even silence can be considered verbal abuse. Isn't that something? I mean, it can be a weapon, silence. So it can take a variety of forms, ranging from loud rants to passive aggressive remarks. And if we've not all been guilty, we've been on the receiving end, and it does not feel good. And you know, that is a big red flag if you're in a situation like this. And my heart just goes out to you, and I'm hoping and praying that you can continue to rectify this and fix this situation, because it's not good. Okay, So common forms of verbal abuse include withholding information even, or purposely failing to share thoughts and feelings, countering the victim's memories, thoughts and feelings, blaming the victim for things that are outside of his or her control, calling the victim names or using hurtful and defining labels such as liar or child or opportunist. Verbal abuse often occurs within the boundaries of romantic relationships, friendships, or parent and child relationships, but it can also be between friends, it can be between acquaintances, and maybe even strangers. We've all seen this happen, maybe even in road rage. But verbal abuse, it falls within an emotional or psychological abuse category. And again, I'm not a doctor, but I just have to address this because something has to be said, and we have to start holding each other accountable. And that's what I'm here to do, is just continue to bring awareness and hold you accountable and hold myself accountable to these things, because we don't want to fall victim to these things in our relationships ever. And we want to continue to be the highest version of ourselves. And if we find ourselves being either the victim or the person who is doing it, it should be never tolerated just because you can tolerate it, and that's not God's best for us. So we want to always aim for being the highest version of ourselves and not exuding these kind of traits, right? Okay, so examples of nonverbal emotional abuse include nonverbal such as devaluation, such as staring at a person, eye rolling, door slamming, gossiping about the victim, talking about the victim behind his or her back, and using power to one's own benefit. Verbal and emotional abuse should never be tolerated, guys. If a person feels like they're being verbally abused, listen to what that person is saying and really try to communicate understand, actively listen. I've talked about this before on my channel. Really hear what it is that they're saying and don't call them names. That's never good. So calmly explain how the other person's behavior has made you feel, and then you should try to resolve the conflict. Okay, that's effective communication. So stopping nonverbal emotional abuse, it takes practice, it takes skill, it takes love, it takes patience, it takes a skill. So it's not something that we are easily, trained to do. It seems like more so in our culture, in our day and time, we're taught to gossip. You have tabloids and you're taught to, kind of like follow someone's life and, make commentaries. We have all these where you can have a comment section, but let the comments show uplifting and empowerment, towards the person that you're commenting on. And just bring, resolution and, resolve. We don't want to be on that, the other end of that. It's yucky, and, we have to do the best that we can sometimes, because it's hard to reason with the verbal abuser. That's one thing that this is pointing out. When a person negatively defines you as a liar or a child, your nature is to react and try to convince them that no, I'm not this, or no, I'm not that. But it's really hard to reason with a verbal abuser. So the only effective way to put an end to verbal abuse is to call out the abuser each time they strike, guys. So if someone blames you for something and you have no control over it, you need to ignore the actual content of what they're saying and calmly address the abuser to stop what they're doing. As far as, let's say if someone's calling you a child and you're not a child, if you're explaining your feelings and emotions and they're calling you names, Tell them to stop name calling. You verbally tell them in that moment, stop name calling, because it will diffuse and disarm them, because you are not a child, and that is abuse. So you should never tolerate that. Never ever tolerate that from anybody, under no circumstance, in no situation. No form of abuse is ever tolerated, okay? Should never be tolerated. And know your value and know your worth, because you deserve better. That is not God's best for you. Please never, ever accept abuse. Okay, so you want to say it firm, stop blaming me for something I have no control over. That's something that the article, it affirms, that we want to make sure we are firm on that. We stop them in their tracks and tell them we have no control over some things, and if they are blaming you for something and calling you names, tell them that you don't have control over it. You're not playing victim. But if it's something realistic, like, you're trying to reach something in the kitchen and you might call and ask them for help, and they just say, quit acting like a child. Like, I'm not being a child. I really need help. And tell them firmly, I'm not a child. Don't allow that to happen to you, okay? Stand up for yourself. So, I wanted to point out some more good things, that I ran across, and it was just a very informative article, and that's why I'm using it as a resource here, because I really believe that it should not be tolerated. So, usually I try to come up with an exercise, but basically this article did everything I needed, so it was great. Basically, by refusing to engage with the verbal abuser and refraining from trying to reason and argue with them, you are showing the abuser that he or she is not acting rationally. Okay, so, and then, you don't have, you're not going to put up with their behavior. Some abusers will learn to change their behavior, which is what we hope for, through repeated exposure to this approach, and others will not. And if you are repeatedly exposed to a partner, to a friend, or to a family member that is verbally abusing you, it may be necessary to temporarily or permanently end this relationship with them. And that is the truth, and that is, there's no debate about what you should tolerate when it comes to what is respectful and what is effective communication. Ending a relationship with a verbal abuser is not easy, especially if you are tied financially. And I understand, people have other obligations. You can't just pick up and walk away, or, make a quick decision. But just have faith and believe that you can stand up for yourself, and you should not be on the receiving end of that. You should not feel afraid to stand up for yourself under no circumstance, and believe that God is going to make a way, for you to be able to get into a healthier situation and leave that kind of negative environment, okay? So, you can limit contact with the person, reduce encounters with him or her, and only interact with them in public or when surrounded by non-abusive people. Guys, that's the end of that article, but I'm going to leave a few resources in my description box. But I just hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you're not allowing any verbal abuse. And if you are, please seek and get medical attention or help if you feel that you are not in a safe situation. But definitely do not accept this behavior under no shape or form. In no shape or form. It should not be tolerated. So I hope that you've taken something good away from today's video. Please like the video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.